Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Biz and Tax Matters with Mike and Dennis. I'm your host, Michael Davis. I'm a CPA. My co-host is Dennis Markowitz.
Hi, and I am an enrolled agent.
We both operate in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Today's special guests are Jeff Taylor, who's a member at Energy Audit Partners, LLC.
Hi, I'm Jeff Taylor.
And Lance Fernandez. Lance is also a member of Energy Audit Partners, LLC.
Hi, I'm Lance Fernandez.
Welcome, guys. Our mission is to inform our listeners every other week as to the various aspects of running a business, the tax code, and answer any questions that they may have. Please call your questions into our call-in number, which is 609-460-4673. Also, we're also simulcast live today through the PANJ YouTube page at panjtv.com. We'll monitor any comments and provide our feedback. If you're interested in any of our past shows, they are available at www.bizandtaxmatters.com. Just so you know, if you're listening to our live show, today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. We also have an email address, which is bizandtaxmatters@mjdaviscpa.com. Our show will be available in podcast at panjradio.com and will be replayed at 11 o'clock every day for the next week. So if you're not listening to our live Tuesday show, send us an email with your questions and we'll answer on our next show. Again, the email address is bizandtaxmatters@mjdaviscpa.com. Please note Biz and Tax Matters in the subject. And again, live call-in number is 609-460-4673. In the past 2 weeks, Dennis, we've gotten two questions. One is from somebody in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Wanted to know the effect that the tariffs are going to have on income and taxes.
Yes, it's going to have an effect.
It's going to have an effect?
It's going to have an effect. It may be more of an economic effect as opposed to a tax effect at this point, because we really don't know what the administration is trying to attempt to do. In the news that I've read recently in the past couple of days, it seems like there's been no change in the agreement. It's just that Mexico is going to attempt to stop immigration. How has not been identified. And it's interesting whether the administration is using this as a ploy or not. But if the tariffs go through, obviously it's going to increase materially the cost of goods that we receive, which in effect is going to drop your bottom line and reduce your taxes.
Dennis, the Mexico thing is kind of hiding some of the tariff issues.
Yes.
Because that one's not happening, the tariffs with China are happening.
Oh, that's a different story now, yes.
Okay, so anything imported from China is going up tremendously.
Yes.
I know we've been looking at getting a new roof at home, and I got a call from the roofer that said that the prices are going to be going up in June because of the tariffs. That if I wanted to keep the quote, that he would have to, I would have to do it right away.
Right.
Obviously, we signed up to do it, but the prices were going up materially. He didn't know what the exact amount is. As you know, my son's an attorney, and he's got a friend that has a family business that sells stuff that they buy from his manufacturer in China that they sell here. Those prices are going up 85%. So, you know, the problem with the tariffs is their costs are going up 85% because they have to pay more. They're passing it through.
Oh, absolutely.
So
they're not absorbing that.
China's not paying the tax.
Right.
The American consumer is paying
the tax.
Because our prices are going to be going up to cover. Now, some of the larger companies, some of the smaller companies may just add it in. Some of the larger companies are going to add it in plus their profit percentage.
Yes.
So they're going to try to make more money off it. They may sell less because the prices are going to be increasing so much. Now, could that mean that some of the companies will be bringing product back home to be manufactured, that's a possibility. I don't know. And that's going to remain to be seen. But in the short run, I would think that prices in certain areas are going to be going up significantly.
Well,
And sales may drop.
yeah, I've also read that in Middle America, the farmers are hard hit by this because China has imposed taxes or tariffs on their products. So the administration
Correct.
has now said, okay, we're going to take this tariff money and subsidize the farmers. So they have some relief, but I don't know whether that relief is politically done or what the story is.
I don't know, and the amount of that relief has not been revealed.
No, nothing's been reviewed. It's all
just-
talk.
It's, they're saying there'll be relief, but there's nothing in there. There's no law or any proposals that I know of putting the dollar value on the relief,
That's correct.
so,
It just makes the administration look good.
yes. That's what it's doing, but, like I said before, that the whole tariff thing the discussion seems to have calmed down because the Mexico thing has been abated for the time being. But the China one is a big one. because
Yes.
There's a lot of things manufactured over in China.
Yes.
And a lot of products that go in our cars are going to be increasing and because they're manufactured there.
Well, I think part of that too with the whole China thing is you may see that some of the production that's done in China move to other countries, not just coming back to the U.S., but you may have Vietnam, which starts to take over some manufacturing if they can, if the tariffs are out there long enough.
Years ago, China was heavy in investment in South America, so
Right.
it could be coming from there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And there's some geopolitical pressures as well. China's posturing militarily as well. And that could have an effect on some of the talks.
Yeah,
That's-
well,
That's correct.
okay, I think we should cut this short because we could spend all
Yeah, we
day
could all spend all
on
day.
politics and not
So-
That's
the topic of the show.
We have one more question that we received during the week from Eric Raffle at Global Mortgage Network, Inc. in Warminster, Pennsylvania. Eric's question was he has a client that he's trying to determine whether she has filed her 2017 taxes up through 2017, how to get that information. The easy answer at the moment is to get a transcript. She can go online and get a transcript and have it faxed to her. And that will show whether she filed for those years. It'll be on the transcript. The long answer is that last week, the IRS announced that on June 28th, they're stopping the fax transcript service, which affects a lot of things, especially mortgages, because that's how they verify your income, is with the transcripts. And signing the 4506T form so they can get that. In June, the new policy is going to take individual taxpayers that are going to have to get their own transcripts on their own, that they'll be able to do through irs.gov or IRS To Go app. There's an app to get to access their transcripts online or by email. They're going to have to be able to log into IRS is creating a secure website where they're going to keep the transcripts, and you'll be able to go in and log into the transcript once it's been accepted. I think someplace in what I read said there could be as much as a 3-day waiting period for it to be posted on the website. But for Eric and his question, now they're taking off on the 4506, you could have a copy of the transcript faxed to a third party, which is usually the mortgage company. They're eliminating that from the form. Okay. The mortgage companies are now going to have to go through a verification express system that the IRS is setting up. And all the mortgage companies are going to have to be registered on that site to be able to get it. And they'll be able to get, how they're doing this, I don't know, but the information I saw on the website said the transcript information is going to be delivered to a secure mailbox on information received from a 4506. But IRS said they're taking the third-party authorization off the 4506. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. But in the short answer to Eric's question is get a 4506, have the client fax it over to the IRS, and they'll fax over the transcript. That will work till June 28th. June 28th, it all changes, and he should look into the income verification express service and getting registered so he can get directly with clients.
Previously, the 4506 was required by the mortgage company when you signed the mortgage, and they always had you sign it, but not date it, or put the period in.
Correct.
And I've always told clients, sign it and put the year, because that's the only year they can go to. If you leave it blank, they'll put in a span of years and go back. Now, to find out whether a individual has filed a return or not, you have to select a year and then request that information.
Right,
You can't
from the
request
4506.
a whole period, so you need a
Right.
4506 that identifies all the years.
And
you
all
have
the
to get-
4506s that these mortgage companies are holding in blank
Yes,
are going to be out after June 28th because they're changing the form.
So if you had
Yes.
several years that you wanted to look into, you'd have to do that exercise for each year, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
correct.
So hopefully that answers Eric's question. And now we're going to get into our topic. Again, our guests are Jeff Taylor and Lance Fernandez, principals at Energy Audit Partners, LLC. Our topic is cost savings and energy efficiency for business. Jeff, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
And a little bit about Energy Audit Partners?
Yeah, I'll give you a little background on me, and then Lance can fill us in on him. But we're partners. There's two of us. We've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, I would say. We both have backgrounds. Mine is in finance. Really, I was with 2 large companies. I was with GE Capital and GMAC Mortgage. So mine is more in finance and analysis and spreadsheets and that type of thing. And Lance has the fantastic background in the trades and electricity and
Yes, for the period between 2001 and 2010, I was a lead maintenance electrician at Bristol Myers Squibb in Hopewell, New Jersey. Incredibly large site, tremendous education in all of the buildings, utility systems, chilled water, all of the, we had variable frequency drives, building automated systems so that the entire site could be run from one room, not much bigger than this room. And it was a very good background. Since then, I've pretty much retired from the electrical world and been working with Jeff on the energy audit piece.
so combined, we have the financial background, we have the trades background. We don't do installation, we do a lot of analysis for our customers, and we manage projects for them. But with the backgrounds, we know what we should be seeing in the progress of a project. For example, if we're doing an LED upgrade or something like that, we work with the electricians. We can do some of the low lifting for some of the project for them, but we know what we should be seeing, we know what they should be encountering, so it makes the project go quite smoothly for
And when
us.
the customer asks us to take a look at their building, their facility, to identify energy loss issues, we're able to go in that building and identify very quickly the type of construction, what we would need to look for. We take a look at their power bill, and we see tendencies on the power bill, and we also can run a full report at the customer's request through the utility company to give us an analysis of how the power is being used, and from there we are able to identify the energy loss issues.
And if you think of a typical building, we're looking at commercial buildings, typically 20 to 25% of the power usage is towards lighting. Another 45, maybe 50% of the power usage is towards the HVAC system, whether it's venting or air conditioning or whatever. So we have a number of different things we do. We go in, we can look at how efficient the building is itself. We have several tools for that. One we use in conjunction with Pico. One, if it's not a Pico serviced location, then we have our own tools that we can do, which we can get into later.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. But we look at the efficiency of the lighting. We look at we also have infrared thermography, so we can look at the building envelope, which is, the walls, the ceiling. We can find leaks. We can find if there's missing insulation, all kinds of things. So we can put together a comprehensive report for the customer as far as where we think the problems are, and go from there.
How does energy efficiency help a business?
The biggest thing is it's just cutting costs.
Operating costs.
For example, just to throw out a number for lighting, if somebody does an LED upgrade, chances are that the new LED lighting will use about 1/4 to 1/3 of the energy that the existing lighting does. So if you figure that for a whole facility, that's one aspect of it. If you figure that you're looking at the efficiency of the HVAC system, because HVAC, they improve every year as far as efficiency. So we can look at what the ratings are. Maybe it's an older system. They could, spending some money for a new system could really almost cut in half the usage that they have for HVAC.
Specifically for lighting as well, we're able to quantify these savings. Jeff has put together a tremendous spreadsheet that totally breaks down the analysis, what they have now, what they're using now, compared to what would happen if we put in a variety of different types of LED upgrades to that. There are also some savings that are not quantifiable, which would include fluorescent lighting, for instance, in the ceiling. Creates an extra heat load on the HVAC system. LED lighting is cool, and that also reduces their HVAC load. We can't really quantify that, but there is a savings there, as well as LED lights last a long time, and some of them are rated up to 50,000 hours of usage, whereas even the high energy or the high efficiency fluorescent bulbs are only rated for maybe 10 or 15,000. So that essentially takes their maintenance people out of the lighting business once they go through the LED upgrade. So there are some costs that are cut as a result of this as well.
Great. What kind of analysis do you actually do when you do the analysis for the business?
Well, what we'll do, it depends on the customer. Now, some customers may already have an idea that, look, our lighting is way outdated. We need to do something about that. Or we think we have, heating, air conditioning problems. So we'll take the clues from them. But really, when you look at it, the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing to do is the lighting. Because you can see it, the numbers don't lie. A kilowatt hour is a kilowatt hour is a kilowatt hour. And if you increase the efficiency, you can just really tell the numbers what's going to turn out from that. So we'll go in. If you want to start with somebody that doesn't know what's going on, they have no clue, they want us to come in, we'll do a building efficiency analysis. And we can work, like I said before, if it's a Pico serviced customer, they have a fantastic new program where there's a lot of smart meters that are in buildings these days. So they're monitoring what types of systems are on, what the building's doing for electric or natural gas also. So you can look at the report from Pico, and it has for the whole year, 24/7, 365 days, what the energy history has been in that building. So you can find trend lines. Perhaps the energy, perhaps during the winter, they have natural gas, but their electricity seems to go up. Maybe there's something going on that they're just not aware of. And a simple answer to that could be maybe you have people that are cold, they're bringing in electric space heaters.
So we're talking about seasonal and non-seasonal loads.
Exactly. So, anomalies that could be popping up. If you think of an electric space heater, those things are very inefficient. They're very expensive to run. If you have a percentage of employees bringing them in and just, popping them in the back of their cubicle or wherever they are, that could be making an effect. It could be something like the windows aren't tinted correctly. The E factor for the windows is letting warm air or warm heat go out through the windows during the wintertime. So they could be losing a lot of energy that way. And that's something that we can check to a certain extent with the infrared camera too, because it measures heat transfer.
I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One, Obviously, the size of the facility is important. The larger the size, I would imagine, greater the savings. Is there a point when it's too small of a building or an office, et cetera, where it's economically not feasible?
Well, that's what
And number two is, do you also do this for residencies or rentals?
Okay, let me go to question 2 first. We concentrate more on commercial, because they're bigger buildings, they're bigger opportunities, there's more savings to be made. It's a business customer. There's more opportunities there. But we do the same thing for residential, not with the lighting so much, because that's an easy thing. That's where you don't need really an electrician. Most residences, it's a bunch of screw-in types of bulbs. They can do it themselves. They can go to a box store if they want, buy the LEDs. But what we will do for residents is the infrared tomography, where we can go in. A great example of this would be a house that maybe it's a new construction house and they have a 12-month punch list, for example. So, you're looking for what are the problems that that the builder's going to fix. We had a recent example where somebody had, I think they moved into their house in September, October. They had us out in January because they knew there were some issues. So we did an infrared thermography analysis of the house, and we found several areas where the insulation either was not applied or applied incorrectly, and it showed up, right in the pictures. So we went back to them with the information. They immediately, it was all digitized, which we had infrared pictures versus regular pictures so they could identify where the problems are. They sent that back to the builder, and the builder sent somebody out then to remedy the problem.
Let me give you a brief on the infrared thermography. Both Jeff and I are certified through Infraspection Institute, which is basically the Rolls-Royce of the infrared industry. They wrote the standards that are used both in the residential, commercial, as well as military specs. So the infrared camera basically is, if you've ever seen the movie Predator, for instance, it shows heat and heat loss and heat differences and heat anomalies. So any kind of a system that has anything to do with heat, this camera will pick up any anomalies, heat loss through, as Jeff said, loss of insulation, even moisture issues. It'll pick up on them in the walls. It's a very, very effective, non-invasive. We don't have to open any walls. We don't have to punch any holes or anything like that. It just shows up on the surface of the area that you're looking at.
That's very interesting, because I would imagine you would have a niche where buildings or homes would be sold, and you would want the buyer to come in, because, when you buy a home, they inspect the roof, but they don't inspect the heat loss or anything else. To me, this would be an ideal business to go into and be able to.
On your roof and
expand it.
shingle, on your standard shingle houses, not so much, but for flat roofs and rubberized roofs and a commercial, that the camera's going to be a very effective tool there.
But I'm also referring to insulation
Absolutely.
and windows and
Yeah.
everything else that goes with it.
And what we found is that a lot of, on the realtor group, a lot of them kind of shy away from having us do it when it's a sale. That's why I was mentioning that if it's, say,
They're
new.
afraid it'll kill the deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, the buyer's going to
exactly.
be much more interested.
Because you're working for one and against the other,
Right.
obviously.
But-
Conflict, yeah.
But the buyer should be interested more in himself. than
Right.
For,
And we would inspire them to use us. for
to
that, yes.
still buy the house.
But
do
you
those
know where the
improvements
issues
on
are.
their own
Yeah.
To save.
And
I know, for example, my house was built 30-some years ago, and we just had an issue we had some flooding, and we had to pull some drywall out. There were spots around the windows, they never put insulation
yeah,
in,
oh, exactly.
whereas we would have found that with an analysis.
And you see some of these commercials where they'll say, we'll do your whole house insulation. You may only have a couple of spots in a couple of rooms that are the problem, and take care of those. You don't need to pay 15, 20,000, whatever it is for, to have your whole house re-insulated.
And the other thing too is for your average person who could go to a Home Depot and buy a cheap camera, they may not necessarily know what they're looking at. For instance, when we're looking at a room with a large window in it, you'll see what appears on a winter day, you'll see what appears to be a lot of cold around that window. That could be framing. Now, framing is a solid conductive material. So there's no way to insulate that. So, we have to be very discerning as to what we're looking at so that we steer them in the right direction for any kind of fixes and repairs.
And also have to keep in mind that it has to be done with certain conditions as far as temperature. Statistically, you need to have at least an 18-degree Fahrenheit difference between the outside and inside temperature. So it could be either winter or summer. But if you're tracking the difference in temperature flow.
You need that
So
differential.
you need to have a difference.
Is it better in one season versus the other? Is it better in winter or summer, or it
Winter,
doesn't make a difference?
you may get a bigger difference because you keep your house at around 68 to 70, and maybe it's 30 degrees outside. So that's a huge difference. In summer, you keep your house around 72 to 75, but maybe it only gets up to 95, so it's a
You can
smaller
always
difference.
drop the air conditioning.
Can always drop,
Six days if you
exactly.
want.
You could always do
Spring and fall
that,
is
yeah.
going to be a little tougher. You're going to have to be very selective on the days that you try.
It's
it.
harder to get that spread.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can still notice differences, but what we're talking about is the standards call for statistically accurate measurement. So that's where somebody, like Lance said, going to Home Depot and getting a $200 infrared app or something. They're not going to know what they're looking for. They're not going to know what conditions need to be followed.
The
or
training
whatever.
is highly specialized, especially.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of apps and things that you can get for a lot of things.
Yeah.
If you don't really know how to interpret it and have the
Yeah.
experience on interpreting it, having the app doesn't really do you any good except
No.
give you an idea, I might have a problem.
Right.
You can
And
jump
that-
right down into a rabbit hole with that.
Right,
And
exactly.
then similarly, when we're talking about looking at a roof, the reason Lance said that it has to be an insulated roof is because if it's breached, there's water in it somewhere. And what it's doing, it's affecting the insulation and its ability to retain heat or get rid of heat. So that's why a shingled roof is totally different. There's no insulation that's going to cause a difference in the heat retention. And the thing to do with a roof is you have to do it either half an hour after sunset or almost half an hour before sunset, so that you don't have the sun directly on it. What you have, say, after sunset, is the sun goes away, but then how does the whole building get rid of heat? And what you're going to see is that there's going to be different temperatures that an affected insulation is going to have. It's going to retain heat more than the rest of the roof. So that's why you find where the problem is, because you can look at the camera and you'll see different heat temperatures, because part of the roof that's insulated that has water in it is retaining heat, and the other part is it's cooler. So
Interesting.
Interesting.
again, it's all part of knowing what you're looking for.
Oh, absolutely.
And the other thing with the infrared as well, too, we are able to look at building utility systems. For instance, your electrical panel, any motors, HVAC, we can look and see if the motors is stressed to overamping. That'll show up in the camera very quickly.
Okay, we'll get into a little more about that with the camera. We'll take a short break. We'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll get a little more into the infrared and actually how to read it, and how you read it, and what you find. So, thank you. See you shortly.
Hey, I'm Deirdre Anderson with Delish Catering,
And I'm Laura Mangone from Chambers Walk Cafe and Catering.
and we'd like you to join us on Food for Thought, where what do we talk about, Laura? We talk about restaurants, we talk about
Pet
recipes,
peeves,
pet
food.
peeves, bitchy hostesses,
All sorts of food-related items.
all sorts of
Tune
food
in.
stuff, and sometimes not so much food stuff. We go off on segues, but we have a lot of fun, don't we?
Absolutely.
So join us on Food for Thought.
PANJradio.com, 1 o'clock weekdays.
When I say Italy, what comes to mind?
Venice.
Capri. Oh my gosh, Capri was marvelous.
The views, the cliffside views, or traveling to Sorrento. Pirello tours. Oh, Perello Tours, for sure.
Hi, I'm Steve Perillo of Perillo Tours. With over 70 years of tour experience to Italy, it's no wonder Perillo Tours is synonymous with travel to Italy.
I think of the culture.
And to walk up to certain areas and touch a wall and think, well, this wall's like 3,000 years old.
Being on a Perillo tour on our anniversary was better than anything I can remember ever on an anniversary.
I personally approve every itinerary to ensure a stress-free, once-in-a-lifetime vacation.
Salute! Call now for your free insider's guide to Perillo's Italy. Call in the next 30 minutes and qualify for a $100 gift card when you travel with us. Call 800-675-3491, 800-675-3491, 800-675-3491.
Do you use Viagra or Cialis? Have you been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? What if we could promise you the same results for less than $2 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for Viagra, you're being taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $2. We'll do the math for you. You save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 45 blue pills or 45 yellow pills for $99 and add 5 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call us at 800-359-9116 and get your 50 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for Viagra. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in an unmarked package. Call us right now. 800-359-9116. 800-359-9116. 800-359-9116.
Welcome back to Biz and Tax Matters with Mike and Dennis. I'm your host, Michael Davis. I'm a certified public accountant. My co-host, Dennis Markowitz.
And I am an enrolled agent.
We both operate from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Our special guests today, again, are Jeff Taylor from Energy Audit Partners.
Hi, I'm Jeff Taylor.
And Lance Fernandez.
Hi, I'm Lance Fernandez here.
Our mission is to inform our listeners every other week as to the various aspects of the tax code, running a business, and answer any questions that you may have. So please call your questions into 609-460-4673. With any tax questions you may have, please call them in. Also, we are simulcast live today through the PANJ YouTube page at www.panjtv.com. We'll monitor your comments there and provide our feedback. Again, today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. So if you're listening to one of the replays over the next week at 11 a.m. or from a podcast at panjradio.com, you have any questions, send us an email to bizandtaxmatters@mjdaviscpa.com. Please note Biz and Tax in the subject, and we'll answer it on our next show. If you want to listen to any of our past shows over the last 3 years we've been doing this, they're all available on the website at www.bizandtaxmatters.com. Again, the call-in number is 609-460-4673. Back to our topic, cost savings analysis and energy efficiency for business, with our special guests, Jeff Taylor and Lance Fernandez, principals at Energy Audit Partners, LLC. When we cut off at the break, we were talking about the infrared analysis. And we talked a little bit about how you use it. How does it help? What actually do you find? Just leakage of?
Well, it depends what we're looking for. For example, if we're looking at the building envelope, which is really the insulation of a building, whether it's a residence or a commercial building, you're looking to find where is either cold air coming in during the winter or hot air coming in that's breaching the insulation. And it may be a situation where perhaps there was no insulation put in a certain area or not, or it was just put in very slipshod type of way. A lot of times they're under very, tight schedules to get a building insulated or whatever, and then zip, 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 and they miss something.
Or if
Does it
it's
also
been-
show
I'm sorry,
different,
or
does
if
it
it's-
also show issues with windows?
It can be. If the windows, for instance, if the windows are leaking, or if there's a leak in the shell, outer shell of the building, water infiltrates. As soon as water hits insulation, it compresses it, and it reduces its insulating factor tremendously. So water is definitely a big issue with insulation.
What about mold?
Mold is all part of that as well.
But we can't find mold.
But we can find the conditions that create mold.
Exactly, yeah. Now, back to windows just for a second. You have, there's the window pane, so you have double, triple window panes. But there's also a difference in what kind of framing there is, because some frames, like a metal frame, will conduct heat back and forth much more than, say, wood or vinyl or something. So that can make a big difference, given the type of window framing that you have in your facility. But like I said, it'll show differences. It may be, under the insulation under a door, or the sides of a door. If you have a quarter of an inch that's open for a 2-foot long span, that's a lot of space that the air can come in. So same thing with if it can be a small area of insulation that's missing, but yet it can be. You'll feel the draft throughout the room or whatever, and people will complain about it. So
And it just creates a causeway for the BTUs to fly right out of the building. BTUs, British thermal units, and that's really the heat, that is exchanged in your HVAC system.
Hey, I
So
find
that's
it,
not an issue with the HVAC system, that's an issue with.
the envelope.
insulation.
The envelope,
Right,
And-
yeah.
that's
and-
correct.
Okay.
I find it unusual that many of my clients don't look at their electric bill or gas bill, and they don't see the rate that they've been charging, because you can go online and compare rates and get a substantial savings. Of course, if you get a savings in year one, by the time year 3 comes along, they're higher than what you were
Well,
previously
that's
paying.
one
Yeah,
of the things
that's-
they do with their analysis.
We set up our analysis, so we can do a couple of things. Number one, like Lance was saying, we model what you currently have, your hours of operation, when are the lights on, what are the kilowatt hours, or what are the kilowatts of the
Number of employees, square
of the
footage.
lighting, the ballast, so, we'll put all that in, and then we'll compare it to what we're going to do as a change with an LED
Right.
upgrade. So, like I said, that can be up to 75% savings on an individual bulb. So, we'll model that whole thing. We can also model, and just to get to what you were just saying, Dennis, is if we put in the electric rate that they're paying. Now, we want to look at the bill. We'll see if they're paying something that's competitive or not. And perhaps a lot of times they're not. Even a business, they may have, it's like you said, they don't look at their billing. They may have gone with a third party and locked in a rate, and maybe that was for 12 months or 2 years. Typically, that utility or that third-party provider is going to maybe send them a letter that says your rate is going to expire in the next 2 months. You might have to review it. Maybe, exactly.
Yeah.
And often that letter gets circular filed.
You just put it aside and do it later, and then there's no more notice. Maybe your rate goes from, say, 6 cents a kilowatt hour to 12 cents. They're just going to bump you to, whatever the market will bear.
And you're not
on that.
even aware of it.
You're not even aware of it. It's
Yeah.
just your monthly bill comes in. But that's the kind of stuff that we also notice, and we can model that. We've had some customers where we'll put in the new rate that we can get them for third-party generation. They may end up with, an IRR of over 100% easily on the what they're going to save, combined of the LED upgrade and the new third-party generation
Okay,
rate.
excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't like acronyms, because people don't know what they mean, and different industries have different acronyms. You mentioned IRR.
Thank you for saying that, because that's part of the analysis we put together for our customers. We'll put together how much they're going to expect to pay for the investment, which includes the materials and the labor, the whole 9 yards. We'll put together what they're going to save on an annual basis by having reduced electrical consumption. We'll put in the payoff years, so maybe it could be 1.2 years or something that their investment is returned. And then the IRR is their internal rate of return, which is a great way for them to, actually what they can do is they're looking on different ways to spend their money. they can rank different investments based on the IRR, because what it does, it takes it all their investments down to a common denominator. So if we give them an IRR that's, say, 50%, and they have another investment that they're toying with doing, and maybe the IRR on that is only 24%, they should do the 50%, because the ranking is showing that they're going to get more for their money using it in the LED that we're putting forth rather than the other investment that they have. So it's a way to rank different types of investments.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And I would think LED lighting, and there's certain fixtures you can just change the bulbs to LED.
Oh, exactly. And what we'll do in the analysis is we will break it down in different types of lighting, because different types of LED versus either CFLs or incandescent will have different returns. So you may have a parking lot, for example, where there's 20-foot poles and they have 250-watt metal halide lamps that are in them. We can replace those with perhaps a 60-watt lamp that's going to be just as bright or brighter.
LED lamp.
LED lamp that's going to be just as bright or brighter, last 5 times as long easily. And so that all goes into the calculation that we give to them.
And this kind of ties into an earlier topic that we were discussing, which is the tariffs. Now, our suppliers, we wholesale, and which gives us a great competitive rate as far as our project management, bringing in the right lamps and fixtures for the customer. Our wholesalers are telling us that if the Chinese tariffs hit, that the fixtures could go up as high as 25% in our costing, but not necessarily the components. So that will also help us to guide our customer into the right decision-making as to whether they should go with new fixtures or just relamp the fixtures themselves.
And just quickly to finish up, like I said, we have different areas of a building may have different returns on different types of lighting. And a great example is a parking lot. We have a customer that is a hotel, local hotel. They have 15 parking lot poles in the parking lot, and each has 2 lamps on it, so 30 lamp heads in the parking lot. Their problem is they burn out very quickly, and 4 times, maybe 5 times a year, they're spending $1,800 to have somebody come out and replace 2 or 3 bulbs. So if they do the upgrade, we put the numbers in front. If they do the upgrade to LED, not only will they save $4,500 a year on just the electric usage, they're going to save $4,500 to $6,000 a year on maintenance.
And they get a much higher quality of lighting as well. The LEDs give...
It's much brighter.
It's
more white.
It's going to give them...
You can get different colors that
Right.
you want, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We can, the color range is almost unlimited now with the LEDs, but the lighting is much more consistent with the LEDs, and they just don't burn out as...
Yeah, previously the LEDs outpriced themselves. The savings was still there, but the initial cost was ridiculous.
Great example, 4-foot tubes. A single 4-foot tube used to be around $65. Now you can get them for well under $10.
Yeah.
So it's just, like you said, even that the numbers made sense then, but now it's ridiculous that they make sense.
It's the price is coming down.
So in our analysis to our customers, we'll give them a variety of options with different pricing, different ease of installation, what makes the most sense for them. That way, and we can guide them as to the way we feel would be the best way for them to go forward. But they do have that range of options that they can choose from.
And they may decide that, the parking lot makes sense for now, maybe we'll do that, and then maybe we'll do the interior certain area of the hotel or something.
So we face the project that way.
Yeah, we at home, I had the electrician change my driveway light went out. So I had him change it to LED, and it's extremely bright at night.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to...
And you're using a lot less electricity on it.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah.
The difference.
And
it lights up more area.
Yeah.
Right. And you go back to your initial statement, well, what does energy efficiency do for a business? And it's that whole thing. It'll make a brighter parking lot. It'll lower the costs. Brighter parking lot means more safety. Think of with a parking lot where you have cameras, if the lighting is better, then the resolution of the cameras is going to be better too. So
The pictures come out better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to take us off just on a little tangent. Another thing that we do in our business as well is we will do a power analysis of their building. For instance, they might have maybe 6 or 8 power panels that drive, lighting, receptacles, HVAC load. If there's an imbalance in those panels, especially if they're 3-phase power, that could affect them with the power factor adjustment in their electric bill. So we'll take a look at the balance of the loads in each one of these panels and make sure that all 3 phases are drawing roughly the same amps. If they're not, we can guide them, through an electrician to balance those panels out by moving breakers around so that they have a more even power factor, and that reduces their peak demand and their power factor adjustment with their utility company. So this is another service that we provide.
There's a lot of different ways to attack the problem.
And that's all part of the energy efficiency that we provide.
Well, yeah, the energy efficiency is more than just LEDs.
Right.
I brought up the LEDs because that's probably the
Sure.
cheapest change.
That's
that
the
you can make.
easiest thing.
As
And
Joe
the
said,
easiest return.
low-hanging fruit, easy to
Correct.
return, yes.
And like we said, we can do an analysis of the building, whether it's through the PICO information or, other sources. And you can really kind of rank a building where it stands versus other buildings of similar use, age, size, et cetera. So for example, if you have a building that actually ranks in the 75th percentile, perhaps, that means there's 75% of buildings of similar size, use, age, et cetera, are all more efficient than your particular building is. And what you can do is then, well, what are the options? What did we find? Where are the issues? Is it some LED lighting that we could do? Is it something we can do for the HVAC system? So like you go back to the lowest hanging fruit being the LEDs. Maybe what you do is you do an LED upgrade, and now your building's at 50% percentile. Now, to go from that last 50% to, say, the 25th percentile, that could be a big expense. But that's something that the business owner can decide, do I want to spend that money to get that much more efficient, or am I more comfortable now that I've already improved from 75 to 50?
I would
The
think it would
difference
depend
is-
on the rate of return.
Yeah, exactly.
The difference
That's why we
is-
provide the analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the
Exactly.
analysis.
Right.
So that your clients can evaluate it, as opposed to a salesman says, oh, I'll save you 50%.
Yeah. At what cost?
We give them the hard facts,
right.
and also we give them the options, and we identify the issues. And then, as far as IRR, they can rank, what's the best one to attack now, and what's the one that we should save for later on.
Great. Solar, do you guys get into solar?
We are able to identify issues with solar panels with the camera. We do not manage projects for installation of solar. That's not our niche.
There's two pieces to solar. Like you said, we can find out, the camera can see if there are cells that are out in a solar panel. I mean, they'll show up as a different color because they're not heating correctly. But then the other thing is, with solar combined with what we do with, for example, efficiency or LED efficiency, if you have somebody that is trying to, that wants to put a solar panel system on their business, they should first go through kind of an LEG upgrade check or HVAC system. Make sure you're more efficient, or as efficient as you can be, because you can buy a smaller solar panel system, or you'd be able to sell more power back to the grid.
You could correctly size your solar
Exactly.
system to your building.
And it's similar to, if you're buying a generator, a backup generator, because you can only put so many appliances or things in your house or business on the generator, because it's a reduced capacity, obviously.
Right.
But what you can do in the meantime is, if you are able to reduce the lighting load by 75%, think there's other things that you could put on the generator, other applications you could put on the generator that otherwise you'd have to buy a bigger generator, or just go without some things during a downturn. So there's a lot of interconnectivity with different types of systems.
So even though you don't do the solar panel project, you can assist them on getting a more efficient
We can
solar
provide
panel.
better information for them so they can properly size a system for customers.
And we have extensive experience with generators as well. We have installed generators in the past with my previous business. We are able to totally analyze the generator load, make sure that the proper appliances, as Jeff said, are on that generator, and we can guide the customers in that area as well. If they would decide they wanted to go with a generator, we can give them good advice on that.
Well, I think somebody that's in an area that loses power a lot should.
Yes.
You betcha, especially with the electric grid these days being as vulnerable as it is.
And back when we first built our house in the area, we lost power a lot, but the generators were not available.
Now they're very readily.
And now our electric is pretty reliable, and actually the one time we had a storm, I think it might have been Sandy, and I actually went out and bought a generator at the hardware
Oh, really?
store.
Yeah.
Had everything hooked up to it, that all I had to do was start it, and it wouldn't start.
Oh, no.
And even though I bought it like the week before the storm, and the store said, you buy it this week, you cannot return it.
Right.
They took it back because it was defective.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, well, there's a lot of problems with the generators. I have a friend who bought a big generator to take care of the whole house, and during one of the seasons, he ran out of propane to run it, and he couldn't get it replenished for another 2-3 weeks because the
Yeah.
supply ran out.
The great situations are the generators where you have natural gas, because then you're not refilling propane, you're not refilling diesel, or something. You know, it's just there and it's set up and it's just hooked up to a pipe.
I have a natural gas whole house generator in my house, and during Sandy, we were on that generator for 80 hours.
Well, mine, unfortunately, I only lost power for about 10 minutes. So by the time I figured out it wasn't working, power came back on. So I was very lucky.
But that'll have effect on your business during the week, though, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, he has more problems with the internet than with outage of electricity.
Yeah. When you do your analysis for the electric companies, a lot of states and electric companies have rebates
Yes.
for people. How does that work?
It depends on the electric company, but they have similar rebates. So in our analysis, we put in, we kind of match what we're saving, and it comes out on, that's the last column of our analysis is rebates. And that's because the utilities can change their factors every so often. So we come out, we're generally pretty close to what they're going to.
We have a good enough experience, and we actually do file the rebates for the customers.
Right, we
So
do all the
that-
initial
Oh, that's good.
information. Yeah, well, you know what, a lot of it comes into, we're having to source the materials anyway. So we have the actual information as to how efficient the new
The
stuff is.
cut sheets on the fixtures,
Yeah.
and that's all required by the utility company.
So we do the initial, and then we do the follow-up, and then they get a check. And what we also do is find out if there are other types of grants or rebates that they may be subject to.
We're tapped into a few other
Right,
of those.
and there's certain types of grants that maybe some customers are not eligible for, like nursing homes aren't eligible for certain types of grants. Other types of grants may be, the benefit is only if you're reducing the usage during a high demand time of the day. For example, that would not include parking lot, because parking lots are, they're overnight. It's not high demand when, machines are on and all
Not
that kind of stuff.
during peak hours.
So there's different opportunities.
Yeah, and Micah and I are familiar with that. It's in our industry, it's called tax simplification.
Sure. Another thing too with the rebates, there are a small handful of townships in the area that actually sell the electric to all the residents and businesses in that area. Those types of situations are not eligible for rebates, because rebates come directly through the power company. These folks buy the power, they manage it, so they won't actually offer rebates to their customers. So we have to make sure that we're aware if they are buying directly from the power company, or if they're buying from their township. If they're buying from their township, we have to let them know, I'm sorry, you just don't have the rebates available here.
And some of those can be much more expensive. They can, in some cases, we've seen some customers that they're paying twice the electric
Easily
rate.
twice.
But supposedly the offset to that is that there's a lower tax base in that township.
I was
So-
going to say that taxa could be less than that. The real
Right.
estate
Right.
taxes and
So they
everything
offset
could be
it.
less because
Right.
they're paying it through the utility. It's like, when people retire and they're going to move to, this state doesn't have an income tax and I'm
Right.
going to move there. That doesn't mean you're paying less taxes. Okay? That just means you're paying less income tax.
Right.
Every
gets
state
funneled
needs
differently.
money to
Right.
operate. They need to raise it differently.
They're going to get it from you somewhere.
Right. Florida does it through licenses and fees, and they have a
Okay.
license on everything.
Okay.
Okay, I joke with clients, you need a license to go to the bathroom if you're in Florida. Okay. But,
That could be problematic in an emergency.
yeah, yes, it could be. And especially if your swipe card's not working. But, all the states, even Texas has no income tax. but they have hidden taxes. They have
Right.
a gross receipts tax on business.
Yeah,
No income tax,
It's like
but a
you said,
gross
they-
receipts tax, so they're taxing a larger number.
yeah.
And you know, a lot of the states that have no income tax have higher sales tax. So they're all getting it from someplace.
Yeah.
And whether it be from utilities or tax base, they
Yeah.
have to get it from someplace.
It's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere. Do you guys work with federal tax credits?
We don't really get into much with the tax credits. Our expertise is more in the analysis of the power and what we're saving.
And the project management.
We know that we know too little to really guide anybody, so we will tell them to talk to your tax people, because we don't know what their situation
refer
is
to you folks.
at all.
Well, the federal business tax credits are pretty much, they're very limited.
Yes.
It has to be for solar, hybrid, geothermal.
And they're
Geothermal,
capped.
large wind
Yeah.
is geothermal.
But not smaller devices such as
Not-
lighting or building controls or anything like
Well,
that.
they used to have it.
They used to,
But, I mean, the credit
gone
was
away.
so small, like it maxed at $500. And
right. and
sometimes that just
Like they
doesn't
still have
factor
it
in.
To make
for
it
fuel
worthwhile.
cells, and micro turbines and small wind turbines, all, things like that. But that's what it's limited to. It's that and solar, pretty much. But the tax credits right now for that are, and they vary based on the category, but for the higher category, it's 30% this year, 2019, 26% next year, 22% in 21, and then it goes to 10% thereafter. Okay. Geothermal's different. It's 10%, it's 12% this year, 10% thereafter. Hybrids are going to zero after 2021. So there's all different kinds of tax credits. If you're a business looking for the type of tax credit and want the information, at www.energy.gov, there's a lot of information there. So you can go there to refer, or give me or Dennis a call.
That's where we would go.
And send an email to businessandtaxmatters@mjdaviscpa.com.
That's right.
What else? Infrared works well with other technologies.
Well, I think what we were thinking with that is really how it dovetails well with solar, or you're talking infrared.
Many other technologies, as a matter of fact, for instance, they use infrared in veterinary sciences. So infrared it covers a wide range of industries.
Good.
Because it detects heat anomalies. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Any system that deals with heat, the infrared's going to be able to read it.
Okay. So here's a question. What makes you guys different?
That's an interesting one, because what we're looking to do is reduce our customer costs. We listen to the customer, what they have. We had one customer where they had this situation where they have bathroom fixtures. Again, it's another hotel, and they have bathroom fixtures that are very inefficient.
And unique.
Unique. They burn out. It's an indirect light. There's a mirror that has a lighting behind it, which is in front of another mirror.
With circular tubes
So-
stacked.
The long and short of it, it's say a $600 or $700 fixture. They were having to change these fixtures, a couple of them almost a day.
The mirrors are very heavy too, so imagine taking this mirror off, handling it twice. You're afraid you're going to break it.
And there's no direct retrofit for this, so we actually
Designed one.
with our manufacturer, designed something that would fit in it by taking strips of LEDs and conforming them to fit behind the mirror, and it came out. They're very happy with it. It's a situation where we customize the solution based on what the problem was.
So you're not
Reduce-
stuck with the products that are out there.
Exactly.
And we
Right.
reduced the
And it
cost
was-
of this thing by exponentially.
It was. It turned out to be maybe $200 instead of spending $600 for a new fixture.
Another thing that makes us different too is, I think, is and you were talking about this earlier, a salesman comes in, they say, well, I'll change out your lights, We provide a financial analysis that drills way down into the weeds. Every aspect of, how your power bill is affected by your lighting. Our analysis breaks that down, and it gives the customer really a precise look at what they could realize in savings. So we're able to quantify very, very closely and accurately, what their savings will be. And I think that analysis is huge. And this is where Jeff's expertise came in very nicely on this.
Great. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for
thank you.
Thanks for having
coming.
us.
It was great. It was informative. For anybody listening, I want to thank you for listening. And if you want to hear it again, it'll be on for the next week at www.panjradio.com at 11 a.m. And we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.